How do you get started with property investing in the UK with just £10,000? In this video, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to share with you what the opportunity is right now, what knowledge you need to acquire to exploit the opportunity, what specific strategy you should follow with your 10K, and how you should allocate your 10K budget. And guess what? I'm not going to tell you to do rent to rent or deal packaging because those ain't the strategies for now. Stay tuned for more. Hi, my name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I've been investing and developing properties for the last 30 years. You may have seen me on the hit Sky TV show Property Elevator, or you may have attended one of our many property networking events in central London. If you're new to this channel, well, where have you been? Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon. We put out new content each and every week, and you'll be notified as soon as we release a new video. Now, this is one of the most common questions I get asked on this YouTube channel and also on Instagram, LinkedIn and on other social media. And this is, I've got 10K, I've got £10,000. What is the best thing to do to get started and be successful in property? Now, if you've searched around on YouTube, you'll see lots of videos on this sort of subject, and they're all telling you to do deal packaging and rent to rent and all of that. I'm not about that, and stay tuned till the end of this video, and I'll tell you exactly why right now is certainly not the time for those sort of strategies. So before we do anything, we've got to look at the opportunity. We've got to look at the opportunity which offers the most potential right now in the property market. Now, I've been investing in property for over 30 years, and one thing I find that every 6 or 7 years, the kind of opportunity kind of changes. There's a time for every investment strategy. Each one has its day. The reason why the opportunity that makes most sense in the current market changes from time to time is because the property market goes through cycles, it goes through boom and bust. There are changes in tax laws, there are changes in regulation, there are changes in planning legislation. There are all sorts of changes that mean certain opportunities close or become less attractive and other opportunities open up. And what I've found in this game is every 6 or 7 years, as some opportunities become less attractive, others start to open up. And the key thing is to take first mover advantage. When you see an opportunity, get the knowledge and figure out how to exploit that opportunity, how to kick the door open of that opportunity and take first mover, early mover advantage to make maximum gains. So what's the opportunity right now? Well, I believe it's in the world of commercial real estate, commercial property. What's happening? Well, there's an abundance of commercial property right now. We have oversupply of retail units. We also have an oversupply of offices. Already pre-COVID, there was this oversupply, and lockdown and shutdown and has brought about accelerated changes in the way businesses do business and their need and their requirements for commercial real estate. So on one hand, we've got this oversupply and a massive commercial real estate coming on stream. And the government recognised this, and the government recognised that there is going to be this oversupply of commercial property. And what they've done is they've introduced brand new permitted development rights. And what these allow entrepreneurs to do is to repurpose these commercial buildings to alternative uses without having to go through the complications, delays and hassles and uncertainties of full planning applications. Permitted development rights, which allow developers and investors to easily repurpose commercial buildings to residential use, were first brought in 2013. On the 31st of March 2021, there was huge excitement among savvy property entrepreneurs as the government introduced or released details of a new permitted development right, which they call Class MA, which stands for Mercantile to Abode. And this allows you to convert a massive variety of commercial properties from offices to shops to gyms to dentist surgeries to kids nurseries. All of these types of properties and more can easily be converted to residential use. Now, why is this a massive opportunity? Well, this is the reason. Commercial real estate is valued based on the cash flow that it can generate. If you've got an oversupply of commercial real estate, if you haven't got an occupier paying rent for a piece of commercial real estate, then it has very limited value. And as such, commercial real estate can be valued at less than a third of the price of residential real estate. So if you can take commercial real estate, which is valued at £100 per square foot, and turn it into residential real estate valued at £300 a square foot, you have made an instant gain. Now, previously, what's held you back is planning permission. Planning permission is uncertain, it's complicated, you've got no idea if you'll get planning permission at all, and if you do get it, you don't know whether it's going to take 8 weeks, 8 months or 3 years. With permitted development, it's your right to repurpose these buildings. There is a checklist of criteria that you need to follow, but it's your right to be allowed to repurpose these buildings. Now, for this particular opportunity, it really is early doors. It is the opportunity of a lifetime for first movers to get in and exploit these possibilities. Remember, these rules that I'm talking about that allow you to repurpose these properties without the need for full planning permission, they were only announced on the 31st of March 2021. They come into effect on the 1st of August. That gives the savvy entrepreneur a few months to educate themselves on exactly how to take full advantage and how to start sourcing suitable properties to take full advantage of this opportunity. And I believe there's going to be a 2 to 3 year window of opportunity, and almost a gold rush type of situation where more and more commercial property is going to come onto the market, and people will not be fully aware of how to fully exploit these permitted development rights to make maximum advantage. So that's the opportunity. The second thing you need to do is to get the knowledge to fully exploit this opportunity. The first piece of knowledge you need is to get fully familiar with the A to Z of these permitted development rights. You need to have an encyclopedic knowledge of what you can and can't do with what types of commercial properties. And once you have a requirements list of opportunity in your head, you then need to know how to source these kind of opportunities on a regular basis. Sourcing these sort of commercial opportunities is a different ballgame to residential property, but it's just something that needs to be learned. Here's the key thing about the knowledge you need to acquire. Now, the government have really opened the doors here. They've really enabled so many different properties to be easily converted to residential use. The issue is you can do a lot of stuff. The question is, should you? Just because you can convert a particular site into residential use, should you? That's where the knowledge comes in. That's where the knowledge comes in to know whether there actually is an entrepreneurial advantage, whether there actually is a profit margin in that particular building. You're going to find tons and tons of commercial property opportunities. The skill is to know which commercial property fish are worth tossing back in the sea, because quite frankly, there's too much work and not enough in it, and which commercial property fish to focus your energies on. Start gathering your knowledge, start gathering your education from free sources to begin with. I've put a playlist of commercial property conversion videos that we've got on this channel. This is something I've been doing since 2006, got quite a bit of experience on, and made quite a few videos on the subject, so just go through that playlist. Search around on Google, search around on YouTube, and follow people who are actually doing this kind of stuff. Now, there's a lot of free stuff out there on YouTube, but once you've found someone you resonate, who is the real deal, who actually does what you want to do, I thoroughly recommend, and I would say this, I guess, because I do offer paid education, but I would recommend that you invest in yourself and invest in some paid education. We'll get back to the video in just a moment, but what I wanted to really tell you about was what is the most exciting opportunity in property right now, and that is repurposing defunct commercial buildings to residential use. Now, most people don't really know where to start, what to look for, and how to exploit these opportunities, and that's why I've prepared 90 minutes of free training for you to get you started on this wonderful journey. You can register for this free training at property-workshop.com. Join me on that free training, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the video. And remember one thing, if you think the price of proper education is expensive, you probably don't know the price of ignorance. You see, what you'll gain from a good educator is how to fast track your progress in the opportunity that you're looking to pursue. Yes, you may be able to figure it out on your own, but when you're looking to exploit first mover advantage, you want to cut and paste what works, cut and paste what's proven to work, and avoid the pitfalls and many bear traps and blind alleys that you can go down if you're trying to figure this out on your own. So the opportunity is commercial property and commercial property conversions. I've talked about the knowledge you have to acquire. Let me share with you a specific strategy for exploiting this opportunity with just £10,000. So let's go to the board as I explain how to do this opportunity with just 10k. So let me take you through my blueprint for investing in commercial property with just 10k, and I'll share with you a specific strategy that you can use. If you're liking this video, make sure you smash that like button, show the love, show the appreciation, and also share it with your property pals. So let's talk about this chart then. The first step, of course, is finding the deal. Now let's take a simple type of commercial property, which are shops and uppers. Now I've done a video just a couple of weeks ago. I'll put a link up here, where I specifically walk down a high street and talk about shops and upper parts and what makes a good deal in terms of properties that you should look for, which are ripe for partial conversion to residential use. Now when you watch that video, you'll see that many shops have two upper floors, and the upper floors are used as ancillary storage for the shop below. These days, shops and retailers change dramatically, and it tends to be more service sector type of businesses that are prospering on the high street. In other words, you don't need those upper floors for storage of goods, and that is space on those upper floors which you can easily convert to one or more flats using permitted development rights. And if the shop on the ground floor is too big, you can even hive off part of that shop, the rear part of the shop, into a separate flat as well. And if you want to see a video on that specific strategy, just watch these before and after videos. But I'll put all these stuff in a playlist down below. Watch those later, but stay tuned for this little bit. So once you've found a suitable property which can be easily repurposed in this way, the next thing you want to do is secure the property. So if you've just got £10,000 to play with, quite frankly, even up north in places like Hull, you won't be able to buy anything for that price. The next thing you need to do is to secure the deal. And the mechanism we're going to use to secure the deal is an option agreement. With an option agreement, you don't need £10,000. You don't need £5,000. You don't need £4,000. You can secure that deal with just £1. So what is an option agreement? An option agreement gives you the right to buy the property at a future point in time for a pre-agreed price. For an option agreement to be legally valid, you have to offer a consideration, and the minimum consideration is just £1. The reason you want to secure the deal via an option agreement is because the last thing you want to do is add value to a property that you don't own and you can't control, and then have the seller go along and realize that uplifted value and sell it to someone else. If you have a legally binding option agreement, then it's basically secure. Option agreements have been used by property investors and developers for decades. They're legally enforceable and legally binding. Of course, if you do them properly, and that's where the knowledge piece comes in and the education piece comes in. Now, because you've educated yourself and you know about your permitted development rights and you know exactly what you can do with that commercial property, you know how to uplift the value by converting part or all of those premises into residential use. You then apply for your permissions. The great thing about permitted development is it isn't as vague and open-ended as a full planning permission. It is very, very definite. There is pretty much a checklist of things that you have to do, and if you follow that checklist, you are good to go, and you will get your approvals for the uplift in value which you've achieved by converting part or all to residential use. Now, with permitted development rights, it typically takes 56 days to get the permission you need, and as soon as you've got that permission, you've uplifted value. Now, here is the magic. Just by having a permission, just by having the piece of paper from your local authority that says, hey, you can convert part or all of this building into 2 or 3 flats, well, you have immediately uplifted the value. And that means you can exercise your option to complete on the purchase of that property, and you can finance it using a bridging loan based on the uplifted value with the benefit of those permissions in place. Now, when you take any type of loan, of course you need some equity. You normally need a deposit, and that is a problem if you've only got 10k. But in this scenario, you don't need it, because you've secured the site for £1. You've got your uplifted value. And by uplifted value, I mean equity that you've created out of nothing by getting permission for a partial or full conversion to residential use. That is it's that uplift in value that your lender uses in place of equity, which allows you to complete the purchase of the property. Now, if you're starting out and you've just got that 10k, I recommend you do this. And basically, as soon as you've uplifted that value, flip that on to another investor. Now, just going back to that option agreement, when you negotiate that option agreement, make sure it's assignable. That will allow you to assign the benefit of that option agreement to another investor. So in other words, in this scenario, if you're starting out, you've uplifted the value, you will not go through the process of getting a loan and a bridging lender and doing the works and all that sort of stuff. You just flip the option contract that you've got to another investor or developer for a quick profit. Now, if you've got a little bit more money available, or you attract joint venture partners to fund your property proposition, then you could go ahead and purchase the property, do the works. And then when you've done the works and you've completed the development project, you've uplifted the value even more. At that point, you could either choose to sell the units that you've created and bank your profits, or in most cases that we're working with, you can get the whole building let out and refinance it on a long-term buy-to-let commercial loan type of exit route, and basically pay everyone off. So for those getting started, the least risky way is simply to flip these contracts on, make a little bit of profit, and then on your next deal, of course, you've got a lot more than just 10k to invest. If you do decide to purchase property, do the works, and you've got joint venture partners and investors involved, then to pay everyone off, you'll probably have to sell. But again, that helps you bank some profit and increase your pot for the next time round. Now, by the way, that was just one strategy for doing commercial property with very, very little money. I got another video which gives you a completely different strategy on how to buy commercial property, no money down. So watch that as well. So how do you allocate your £10,000 budget? By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps us out on YouTube, and it means other property entrepreneurs get this video in their feed. So do that now. So how do you allocate that £10,000 budget of yours? Well, I would allocate £2,000 for what I call knowledge and networking. As I mentioned before, my students have actually done this, I've done this, but you need to know specifically, step by step, how to apply these strategies. And to learn those strategies, you've got to invest in your own knowledge base, you've got to invest in your own education, you've got to surround yourself by people who are doing this kind of stuff and for whom doing this sort of stuff is their normality. I would focus on spending £3,000 of your budget on deal finding. Once you're knowledged up on what to look for, 3K is your marketing budget to put into how to find the deals that fit the template that allow you to do this uplifting in value through permitted development. And there are a whole bunch of tried and tested techniques to make sure you use that marketing budget effectively to find the best deals. And £5,000 for legals and plannings. Now this will help you do the mechanics of this type of strategy that I've talked about. It's the legals for doing things like a proper option agreement and getting that in place. And it's also planning consultants for putting in your permitted development applications with your local authority. So I'd allocate about £5,000 for doing a simple shop and upper deal in the way that I've outlined here. So there you have it, folks. The opportunity of the next few years is commercial property for the reasons I've said earlier. The knowledge that you need to gain is how to find these sort of deals and how to structure these deals using minimum of your own money, so you don't need that much to get started, and how you can uplift values using permitted development rights, many of which are just brand new. Now I said at the beginning of this video I wasn't going to talk about deal packaging and rent and that kind of stuff. That's not the strategy for now. Why? Because rent-to-rent and deal packaging, you don't actually get to own anything. If you're doing rent-to-rent, you're basically just a managing agent, you're a letting agent. If you're doing deal packaging, you're basically a one-man band estate agent. This is something really different, because if you know how to build equity, how to find sites with untapped value in them, and you have the key to unlock that value, then you can generate wealth, even if you're not starting with that much money in the first place. That's what this strategy is about. And as we come out of COVID with the abundance of commercial property that's out there, now's the right time. Now don't go anywhere without subscribing and hitting the bell icon. We put out new videos like this each and every week. Also smash that like button. And if you're interested, if you gel with what I've talked about, I've got some free training for you. I've got some free training. If you can get hold of that training on how to get started with commercial property, you can do so at this link below, property-workshop.com. See you guys in the next video.